This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning everyone. So let's discuss on few topics today, like Docker architecture, okay, and Docker installation on Ubuntu, and few Docker commands. And before that, let's do a quick recap on what we have discussed today. Okay, so coming to Docker, so the first question is like, what is Docker? So Docker is an open source platform for developing and shipping and running your applications. Okay. So the advantage of using this Docker is you can create containers. Okay. The purpose of creating containers is to isolate your applications. Okay. And the same single Docker server, Docker machine, you can create multiple containers and you can deploy multiple applications. Okay. And you can isolate them. So isolation in the sense there is no dependency between one application and another application. Whereas in physical server, uh, so if you want to deploy two applications, okay, or multiple applications like 4 or 5 applications, the dependencies may collide and the application may not work at all. Okay. So before this Docker, we have a virtualization concept where we have virtual server, VMware, and Oracle box for creating these virtual machines, and we have a hypervisor software. If you install this, we can create virtual machines, and on top of that, we can deploy our applications. This is also same like containers, but the problem is we have certain differences where we need guest operating system for the virtualization. Okay, for virtual machines, we need guest operating system, whereas for containers, we don't need guest operating system because containers share the operating system of host machine. Host is nothing but the server where we are installing our Docker software. Okay, so but whereas in case of virtual machines, for each and every application deployment, you need to install one guest operating system. Okay, and in one case of virtual machines, it requires more memory and more resources for deploying one application. Okay, and it takes more time to reboot, and it uses hypervisor software. Whereas in containers, there is no need of guest operating system. As I said earlier, it will use the underlying resources. Okay, it will use the underlying resources, and it will share the operating system. So Docker containers are lightweight, and the Docker containers are lightweight. They are not in huge size. Like Docker images are also lightweight. The size is very less. It is in hundreds, 100 MB or something like that in MBs. So containers, it takes only seconds to restart the container. But whereas in the virtual machines, it will take minutes. Okay. So for containers, we need Docker engine software. So we need Docker engine software for containers. As a part of Docker installation, the Docker engine will be installed. Okay. Now let's discuss on this Docker architecture. So if you look on this, but we will take the official documentation only. Okay. Now, if you see this image, so Docker uses client-server architecture. So what do you mean by Docker client-server architecture? So generally, in case of the general meaning of client-server architecture is nothing but whenever client requires something, the server should provide it. Okay. So whenever client requires something, the server should provide it. Okay. Now, what we what we discussed so far is uh, we have Git tool, right? So in case of Git, let's say for example, okay. So let's say for example, this is terminal for Git. Okay, this is terminal or CLI. CLI is nothing but command line interface. Okay, both are same. So let's say for example, this is server. Okay, and this is nothing but GitHub repository. This is nothing but GitHub repository. So this is nothing but GitHub, and inside this we will be having repositories. Okay, inside this we will be having repositories. And if you perform any operations on this terminal, like git clone and the URL, what will happen? This command, it will pull the code from the GitHub repository. Okay, this command, it will pull the code from GitHub repository, and it will pull the code onto this server. Okay, it will pull the code onto this server. Okay, now it is this this command, when you execute this command, it is performing some operation also on the Git server, this server. Like this, if you use commands like git merge, okay, git merge or git push. So all these commands, these are executed on this terminal. Okay, so basically when you execute this terminal is indirectly interacting with this server. Okay, all these operations are being performed on this server. Okay, so and also to get the information from this GitHub repository, we are using git clone, and it is pulling the information from uh, this repository. In the same way, like Git, in the same way, we have Docker architecture. Okay, this Docker, okay, this Docker client is nothing but command line interface. Okay, because this Docker client, it is nothing but a command line interface. So this Docker host, it is nothing but the Docker machine where the Docker software is installed. This Docker host is nothing but Docker machine where the Docker software has been installed. And this registry, okay, this registry, which is also called as Docker hub. Okay, this is registry, and it contains all the Docker official images. Okay, it contains all the Docker official images. So for for Jenkins, in the GitHub we have Jenkins code, right? Like this, for Docker we have images. We'll discuss what is images later. So this Docker hub will contain all the images. Okay, so in this client server architecture, whenever you execute something, okay, whenever you execute something, this client will speak to this Docker machine. Okay, and the this Docker machine, this host, okay, this client will speak to this Docker daemon. Okay, what is this Docker daemon? So whenever you install Docker in this host, okay, this is nothing but a server. Don't think something like that. So this is nothing but a Docker server. Okay, where you install Docker software. When you install Docker software, it will install both. Okay, it will install Docker client. One is Docker command line interface for Docker, and one is Docker daemon. Okay, Docker daemon is nothing but a process. Okay, Docker daemon is nothing but a process which is generated while installing this Docker machine, Docker on the server. Okay, this is a process. So what this process will do, when you give any instruction to in this Docker command line, okay, say I need to pull the image, then this command line will speak to this Docker daemon, okay, and it will check if the information is present in this server or not. Okay. If the information is not present on the server, what it will do? It will go to GitHub and it will pull the information. Okay. So sometimes it may not require to pull this information from GitHub. It will perform the operations, which has to be done on the server itself. ఓకే, మీరు కమాండ్ లైన్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ లో నాకు ఏదైనా కమాండ్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసినప్పుడు డాకర్ ఇది నాకు ఇది కావాలని చెప్పేసి క్లయింట్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ ఇట్ విల్ లుక్ ఫర్ ది డాకర్ డెమన్. ఓకే, ఇట్ విల్ కమ్యూనికేట్ విత్ డాకర్ డెమన్ అండ్ ఇట్ విల్ లుక్ ఇన్ సైడ్ ది డాకర్ హోస్ట్. ఓకే, ఈ మిషన్ లో ఉందా లేదా అది. సో లెట్స్ సే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఐ నీడ్ ఇమేజ్. ఓకే, ఐ విల్ టైప్ డాకర్ ఇమేజెస్. ఓకే, what it will do, it will check if the image is present in this server. Okay, if the image is not present in the server, it will go to Docker registry. Okay, and then it will pull it. So um, like this, if you want to create a container out of it, okay, it will look for the containers, it will display the containers. Okay, so it will display the containers if there are any containers. Like this client, in this client server architecture, this Docker client will communicate with Docker server. Okay, Docker client will communicate with Docker daemon. Okay, server in the sense Docker daemon. So and it will give the output. So we'll practically see this by installing Docker on the Ubuntu machine. So what is it saying? Docker architecture. Docker uses client server architecture. Docker client talks to the Docker daemon. This client talks to Docker daemon, and which does heavy lifting of building, running, distributing your Docker containers. Okay. Indirectly, what he is saying is, if you want to create containers, if you want to create images, or if you want to build anything, if you want to deploy applications, it will talk to this client, will speak to this Docker daemon. Okay, and the Docker client and Docker daemon run on same system, meaning they will run on the same server. Okay, or you can connect the Docker client to remote server. You are using client to a remote Docker daemon. So this is also possible, but nobody does that, because when we install the Docker itself will give you the client and server. Okay, the Docker client and daemon communicate using REST API over Unix socket. So REST API it is nothing but the meaning of API is application peripheral interface. Okay, what it will provide is for communication between the Docker client and server. So not only in Docker, in Ansible also we have this REST API. So to provide communication between the client and underlying the server and the underlying packages, this REST API will be useful. Like this, for providing communication between this client and this Docker daemon, this Docker will install this REST API by default. Okay. So now Docker client and client and daemon communicate using REST API closing service. Another client is Docker Compose that lets you work with applications consisting of set of containers. Okay, let's say for example, if we work on one container, okay, that is not sometimes that is not a standard practice. So there will be individual case. So let's say for example, in organizations, if you have to work on multiple containers, and if you want to connect these multiple containers in one single application or one single file, that is nothing but Docker Compose. Okay, we will discuss this as well in later classes, but right now I'll copy this information. Okay, so only few points that you need to remember is, whenever someone asks you about what is Docker architecture, Docker uses first client server architecture. So in this client server architecture, the Docker command line interface is nothing but my client. Okay, and the where Docker server is nothing but Docker daemon, where my Docker is installed. Okay, and this client will speak to Docker daemon and it will get the required output. Okay, so and what is this Docker hub? It will store all the images which are required for this Docker. We'll discuss this step by step. Okay, now so the official definition part is over. First we will install the Docker on Ubuntu. So for that, we launch an Ubuntu instance. I'll name it as Docker. So Ubuntu. I'm using the default security group channel, and I have my Ubuntu 10 key. So I'm not changing anything. So the configurations are all same. So instance is launched. Okay, I logged in as root. Now we'll go for the official documentation. Okay. So install Docker engine on Ubuntu. So the basic prerequisites are the operating system requirements. Okay, so this is 22.04, which version which we are using right now. Okay, here the Docker engine is supported on these things. So internally, it will support on these what is it, packages, the versions. Okay, we can directly go to installation methods. Okay, so there are three types of installation methods. Okay, first thing is we have to set up the repository. Okay, and this official key. So and then uh, we have to use this additional repository and packages, and we need to run these commands. Okay, sudo apt-get update, and then apt-get install docker c and cli, and this docker compose login. So we have to install using this way. Okay, if you want to install specific version of docker, okay, you can use this command docker cache, and it will list out the versions which are present. And the next command is, instead of using this, okay, instead of using this, if you want to install specific version of docker, you have to use this. Okay, and then it will list the docker versions like this. And the next step is, so sudo apt-get install docker -c, and then you have to give the version here. Okay, this version you need to copy from here to here, and then use it here. Okay, so like this, you need to give these values, and it will install the specific version of the docker. Okay, and also the second method to install docker is very simple method. Okay, that is using script. Okay, that is using some simple shell script. So docker itself is providing this shell script. Okay, docker itself is providing this shell script. Open this. Okay, docker, that is providing this complete shell script. Okay, which has all the packages and dependencies. Okay, which is written by the docker community itself. Okay, we can install docker by using running this, what is it, script. Okay, the best example is this one. This is, so curl hyphen press sl and https getdocker.com, and then get docker.sh. This is the docker.sh is the simple shell script file that contains all the information. To run this script, we have to use this sudo sh get docker.sh. Okay. So for uninstalling the Docker, these are the steps. Okay, for uninstalling Docker, sudo apt-get purge, and it will install Docker C, okay, and CLI, container ready, and compose plugin. So we will discuss all this later. You know what is the CLI? Okay. If you want to remove the images, continuous volumes, this is the command, and we will discuss that as well later. Okay. Now, if you follow first method, okay, if you follow first method from here till here, if you follow first method, what you have to do is you need to follow this post installation steps as well. Okay, because Docker need to work as a non-root user. Okay, every time you don't need to log into, you don't have to log into root and then you need to perform Docker operations. Docker should work as a non-root user. For that, we have to use add Docker to the user group. Okay, and then we need to modify what is it? You need to add this user to Docker to the user which we are using. Okay, we are installing it in Ubuntu server, right? Here, in place of user, it will be Ubuntu. You need to use that. You need to perform this. Okay, so this is a bit complex, and this is being done in enterprise editions only. Okay, these steps. Okay, what we are following in this steps for for installing Docker is these primary steps are we can use enterprise editions. In Docker, we have two editions. One is Docker Community Edition. Okay. Second one is Docker Enterprise Edition. Okay, Docker Enterprise Edition. So we are using Community Edition, which means pre-version. Okay. So you can follow these steps for Enterprise Edition. And second one is this running script, right? This is quite easy for installing Docker. Let's follow these steps. So this is the actual command. Okay. Example downloads from the script and runs it to install the latest stable release of Docker. So if you want to install the latest version, you should follow this script. Okay. And this is for Docker development environment only. Docker development in the sense you cannot use this script for production. Okay, for production we need to follow this only, follow these methods only. Generally we are working on testing, right? I mean, we are using it for learning purpose. So for that, I'm just using this script. That is my script. Okay. Okay. Now you need to run the second command. So if you see this, you can see this information like client Docker engine community, server Docker engine community. When you install Docker, by default it installed Docker. Okay, by default it installed Docker. Okay, Docker client and Docker server. Now to run Docker as a non-related user, consider setting up the Docker demo in rootless mode for your user. Okay, and it is giving the command itself, docker d rootless setup tool .sh and install. To run docker daemon has successfully released service, but granting not releases, you can refer to documentation. Okay, meaning you can use either this script or this command. There is this post installation steps. Okay, sudo user mod -ag docker. First we need to create a group. Okay, what is it saying? Create docker group and then add user to the docker group. Okay, log out and log in back. That your group member is re-evaluated. Okay, let's see. So I think the docker is already installed this user group while installing. Let's run this. But instead of user, you will give the Ubuntu, because we are executing our commands as Ubuntu, right? Okay. Now exit docker version. Okay. Now try to exit and log in again. Now version. If you see this, at first, we run this command sudo group add user. Okay. Let's discuss from the beginning itself. At first, we just copied this using curl command. Copied the script using curl command. Curl minus fsss and this link get docker.sh. And after that, sudo sh, we executed the script using sh command, sudo sh and get docker.sh. What it will do? It will import, what is it? It will import, it will install the Docker software. So by installing, it will install the Docker client, okay, Docker client as well as Docker service, okay, Docker server. So, and the next step is we added sudo group add Docker, okay, we added group, but while installing the Docker itself, what is it? Created one group called Docker. So the next step what we have done is we checked, we added this group to the user. We added this Ubuntu user to Docker group. Okay, because we want to execute our commands without root. So for that purpose, we added Ubuntu user to Docker group. Okay. Now, if you check Docker version first, it showed only the client. It showed only the client, but it did not show any server. If you have to log out and log in again, so that if you check Docker version again, what it will do? It will show the CLI, means client, and the server as well. Okay, it will show the CLI, meaning the client and server as well. Now, Docker installation process is over. Let's see what happens in the Docker. Okay, let's check the process. What happens in the Docker? So, for checking this Docker installation, by default, the Docker official documentation is giving one command. Okay, by default, the Docker official documentation itself is giving one command. Okay, Docker run hello world. So Docker run, what it will do is let's copy these installation steps first, and then we'll discuss about the Docker. So I think I executed those commands in root. So I'll copy from here. And the next command is this. And next is install Docker client and Docker server. Okay. You don't need to execute this because while Docker, installing Docker itself, Docker has created on this group. And the next command is this sudo usermod Ubuntu. Okay, sudo usermod Ubuntu. And then after executing this command, log out and log in. Okay, log out and log in. Check Docker version. Okay. Now let me clear my screen. So Docker itself is giving one command to check the installation. Okay, Docker run. Hello world.sh. Let's run this first. Okay, but before running this, we have to check few commands. Those are nothing but Docker images. Okay, Docker images. So basically, what are these Docker images? Okay, Docker images are nothing but it is a runtime template for creating Docker containers. Okay, for creating Docker containers. What is this runtime container actually? It contains set of instructions. It contains set of instructions which are used to create container. Okay, this Docker image contains basically if you if you have an idea about AWS volumes concept, okay, you create a snapshot of it, right? So basically, meaning it has all the data that is present in the volume. Like this image, it contains the set of instructions. So whenever you run the container, what it will happen? What will happen is it will use this image and it will create a container. Okay. So let's go to the good technical definition. So like how this Docker is, um, Docker, what is it? How this Docker image is built? Okay, let's go to official documentation and then we'll see what is Docker first. I have seen some good definition for this. Yes, this. Okay. So if we see this documentation, so Docker image is a read-only template that contains set of instructions for creating container that can run on the Docker platform. Meaning is, if you want to create container, we need Docker image. Without image, we cannot create Docker container. So this architecture will be like, so for example, um, in case of Jenkins, okay, let's say for example, in case of Jenkins, developers write the code and we will build the code. After building the code, we'll get the jar file, right? In the same way, here we need to write one file called Docker file. Okay, Docker file, one file called Docker file, and we need to build this Docker file. What is this Docker file? Actually, Docker file is nothing but it contains set of instructions. Okay, which are used for deploying or building your applications. Okay, let's write that as well. Okay, first we'll take this definition. Docker image is a read-only template that contains set of instructions for creating container on a Docker platform. Okay, so coming to this Docker file is nothing but a simple text file. Full text file contains that contains set of instructions to create Docker image. Okay, so basically this Docker file is a simple text file that contains set of instructions to create Docker image. Okay, so what are these instructions? In these instructions, so in these instructions, you'll be taking one base operating system. Okay, and which application you are trying to install, application related data. Okay, and if you want to copy some files, okay, you have some modules like copy. Instead of saying that modules, we'll say instructions. We have modules like copy and port information. So all these instructions will be maintained in this Docker file. Okay, well, let's say for example, if you want to deploy one HTTP web server, so you'll be having all this information in this Docker file, and after that we need to build this Docker file. Okay, where is my image? Yeah, after that we need to build this Docker file. Okay, when you build this Docker file, Docker image will be created. Docker image will be created. So you can push this image to Docker Hub. Okay, we can push this image to Docker Hub. Docker registry. Okay, so Docker Hub. The next question is, what is Docker registry? Okay, Docker registry or Docker hub. It's a storage it's a storage for your Docker images. We can create public repositories and private repositories. We know what is public repository and private repository. If it is public, anyone can access. If it is private, nobody can able to access it. So where exactly this, the complete, these three Docker, what do you say, modules are useful. So let's say, for example, whenever a developer wants to deploy some application, okay, whenever the developer wants to write some applications, okay, in the Debian environment. So what he will do is he will write some code, okay, and he will create this Docker file. So he will write some code, he will create this Docker file, and he will build the image out of it. So he will push this image to Docker registry, either Docker registry or GitHub. So in some organizations, most of the time, 90% of the time, we'll push the image to Docker. We'll push the image to Docker registry only. So the next time, when testers, test engineers wants to test this development process, test this code, what they will do is they will pull this code. Okay, they will pull this code, not code actually, it is an image. Okay, they will pull this image and they will test it. They will create containers out of it. Okay, they will create containers out of it. Let's take it like this. So let's say, for example, this is testing environment. So what they will do is they will pull this image. So they will pull this image, and out of this image, they will create multiple containers. Okay, let me write C1, C2, C3. So they will create multiple containers for testing the application. So this is how the Docker is being used in development environment. Okay, this is how the Docker is being used in development environment. The process is, first we'll write Docker file with set of instructions. Okay, those instructions contains the application related information and the port number, and if the if they want to copy any file or anything, it will contain this modules called copy. Okay, and also after creating this Docker file, we need to build this Docker file. After building, an image will be formed. It's called Docker image. So for storing this image, we use this hub or registry. We call it as GitHub or Docker hub or Docker registry. So we'll push this image to Docker registry, and whenever it requires, the development or testing or creating, they'll pull this image on the server, and they will create containers out of it, and they will use it. So this is the advantage of, this is the usage of Docker. Now let's go to this terminal and we'll check the Docker run hello world. So, but before checking this, I would like to see if any images are present in my server. Okay, for that we have one command called Docker images. If you see this, we don't have any images. Okay, it is showing this empty repository, empty tag, empty image ID and created size. Now what will happen is this Docker run. Okay, Docker images is to check images. Okay, And we have one more command called docker pull. Docker pull image. Okay. What it will do is it will pull the image from Docker hub or Docker repository. Okay. Docker run image name. What it will do is it will internally check for if the image is present in the server or not. Okay. If server is not present, sorry, if image is not present, the image is not present, it will pull image from Docker hub. Okay, it will pull the image from Docker hub. So advantage of this Docker software is we don't need to explicitly connect this Docker hub and Docker server. So they are by default when you install Docker engine, Docker software itself, Docker engine itself. So it will communicate with the Docker hub. But the problem is if you want to get the image from the private repository, you need to use login, nothing but Docker login and that registry name. So if it is a public repository, it's not required. So we will show, we'll discuss that later as well. Okay, in the coming classes, we will discuss what is private repository and all. Now, what I said, Docker run image name. What it will do? It will internally check the image is present in the server or not. Okay, and if the image is present, what is it? If the image is not present, it will pull the image from Docker hub. If the image is present, okay, let's say for example, if the image is present, it will use the image and create container. Okay, so the image is present, it will use the image and create the container. In this case also it will create the container. Okay, even if the image is not present also, it will pull the image from Docker hub and it will create the container. Okay. Okay. So the advantage of this Docker run command is to create container out of this image. Okay, out of this image. Let's see what happens. And for checking this, containers, we have a command. There's nothing but docker ps to check the list of containers. Docker ps minus a, it is to check the list of running plus hidden containers or stopped containers. Okay, so docker ps is to check running containers, docker ps minus a is to check hidden containers. Now let's check if there are any containers in this. So this is a press installation, so we don't have any container. Docker ps minus a. See here also, back in the background also we don't have any container. Now let's see what is this docker run hello world, right? We'll copy this. Okay, so what it is saying, unable to find the image locally, hello world. Meaning in the Docker, what is it? In our local repository, we just check the Docker images. So we don't have this image. What is it? What is this doing? What is this command doing? It is interacting with the Docker hub. It is interacting with the Docker hub and it is pulling the image. Okay. You see this pulling the image from library hello world. From where it is pulling? It is pulling from Docker hub. Okay. So this is a Docker hub, the hub.docker.com. It is internally integrated with our Docker engine. Okay. If you see this, so this is the official Docker image. Okay, this is the official Docker image. So these images are written by other people. Okay, so other developers around the world. But when it is when it says official Docker image, you'll be having on a hello world image for Docker. If you click on this, you'll be having instructions how to use this image. So if you just want to pull the image, you don't want to create a container, then docker pull is the command. Docker pull hello world, it will pull the image. Okay. Now you want to create a container out of it. This is the command docker run hello world. Okay. This is the command docker run hello world. Now if you see this, let's go to server and we will check docker images. If you see this, earlier we don't have any image, but if you see this, we have image. Okay, we have image. So this is the image ID, and the image is the latest version. Okay, this image has been created 12 months ago, and the size of this image is 13.3 KB. See, the advantage of using Docker is the images will be very less in size. Okay. Now it has created one container as well. We will check the container. Yes. Okay. Docker ps -u. So if you see this in the background, it has created one container. Okay, this is the container ID, and this is the image that is used to create this container. Okay, if you see this, the image, this container has been created using this hello world image. Okay, and it is showing internally /hello. So this is the internal part. It is created 2 minutes ago. Okay, exited in the sense it is in stop state. Okay, by default, if you don't provide any name to your container, this Docker itself, what is it? Assign one name. Amazing Boher. What is it? This name is assigned by Docker. We did not give any name. Okay, we did not give any name. So this is the advantage of using Docker images and Docker ps. Okay. Now you have executed this command. Okay, Docker images. What is this doing? This is internally, what is it? Internally asking my Docker engine. Okay. See, if you see this, we are executing commands on client. Client is nothing but it will present in this server only. It is present in this server only. It is not somewhere in the external base or something like that. Client CLI and the part of during the part of installation, this CLI is also installed. CLI is nothing but the command line interface. So this is what the meaning of this is what the meaning of command line interface. This is just simple terminal. Okay. So if you execute this command Docker images, what it will do? It will by default it will interact with the Docker host, meaning the Docker engine inside this server. Okay, inside this server, it will interact with this Docker host. Docker daemon. Okay, Docker daemon. So it will interact with Docker daemon, and you just ask images, right? It is checking the images locally. If the image is present, it will give the output as the image is just now showed. It just now displayed this hello world image. But if the image is not present, the first case, okay, the first case, I think I cleared the screen. So first, when we check the Docker image, there is no information, right? So image is not present. What it will do when you run the command, it will pull the image from Docker Hub repository. It will pull the image from Docker Hub repository. Okay, so it is pulling the image from Docker Hub repository. This is the architecture of the Docker. This is how it works. So again, if you ask, Docker, like, Docker, do I have any commands, containers in my this thing? Okay, in my Docker. So what Docker is telling, so it is internally communicating with this Docker daemon. Docker daemon is nothing but a process. So Docker daemon, it has identified one container, that is a hello world container, and it displayed the output. Okay, display the output. So this is the architecture of Docker. This is how the Docker works. Okay, now let's stop the recording. Shashmita, can you stop the recording? Hello. Hari, is my voice audible?
Yeah, bro, it's
Yeah, వినిపిస్తుంది.
Okay, okay. Okay. So now, any doubts?
No bro, clear.
ఇది
Yes.
ఇది డాకర్ ఇమేజ్ క్రియేట్ చేయకుంటే ఇలా వస్తుందా మనకి?
క్రియేట్ చేయకుంటే అంటే అర్థం కాలేదు, డౌట్ క్లియర్ చెప్పు.
ఇప్పుడు ఈ హలో వరల్డ్ అనేది మనం డాకర్ ఇమేజ్ క్రియేట్ చేయకుంటే మనకి ఇలా వస్తుందా? గిటబ్ నుంచి అది పుల్ చేసుకుంటదా అక్కడ నుండి డాకర్?
ఫస్ట్ ఏం చేస్తానంటే, ఇక్కడ డాకర్ రన్ హలో వరల్డ్ అని ఉంది కదా. ఓకే, డాకర్ రన్ హలో వరల్డ్. ఓకే, వాట్ ఇట్ విల్ డూ ఇస్, ఇట్ విల్ ఇంటర్నల్లీ చెక్ ఫర్ దిస్ హలో వరల్డ్ ఇమేజ్. ఓకే, ఒకవేళ నాకు హలో వరల్డ్ ఇమేజ్ ఉందా, ఓకే, ఐ విల్ షో యూ ద బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. Again, I would like to run this command. Okay, docker run hello world. Say if you say this hello on docker, so image is present now. ఈ hello world image ఆల్రెడీ మనకు ఉంది లోపల. ఇక్కడ డాకర్ ఇమేజ్ కొడితే మీరు చూసుకోవచ్చు. ఏం చేస్తుంది, ఓకే ఇమేజ్ ఉంది, నేను కంటైనర్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాను. ఓకే, సో అని చెప్పేసి కంటైనర్ క్రియేట్ చేసింది. ఇప్పుడు మళ్ళీ మనం డాకర్ ps -a కొడితే రెండు కంటైనర్స్ క్రియేట్ అయినాయి. సో యూ కెన్ క్రియేట్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ కంటైనర్స్. ఓకే, నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ కంటైనర్స్. ఈ కంటైనర్ ఎలా క్రియేట్ అయింది, ఆల్రెడీ ఇమేజ్ ఉంది కాబట్టి చూసుకొని క్రియేట్ చేసాం. ఒకవేళ ఇమేజ్ లేకపోతే ఏం చేస్తానంటే, ఈ డాకర్ హబ్ అనే ఇమేజ్ ని, సారీ హలో వరల్డ్ అనే ఇమేజ్ ని డాకర్ హబ్ ఇంటర్నల్ గా ఇంటిగ్రేట్ అయి ఉంటుంది అనమాట. ఇంటిగ్రేట్ అంటే డాకర్ హబ్ కను మన డాకర్ కి లింక్ ఉంటుంది మన సర్వర్ కి. సో ఆ డాకర్ హబ్ నుంచి పుల్ చేసుకుంటుంది ఆ డాకర్ ఇమేజ్. ఓకే, అర్థమైందా? ఇప్పుడు కమాండ్ ఇక్కడ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసినాం టెర్మినల్లో. ఏమని ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసినాం, డాకర్ రన్ అని చెప్పేసి హలో వరల్డ్ అని కొట్టినాం. ఓకే, డాకర్ రన్ హలో వరల్డ్ అని కొట్టాం. కొట్టిన తర్వాత ఏం చేస్తుంది అంటే, ఫస్ట్ ఒకవేళ నీ లోకల్లో ఇమేజ్ ఉందనుకో హలో వరల్డ్ అనేది, డైరెక్ట్ గా కంటైనర్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది. ఒకవేళ ఇమేజ్ లేదు అనుకో ఏం చేస్తుంది, ఆ ఇమేజ్ మనకి కావాలి కంటైనర్ క్రియేట్ చేయాలంటే, ఆ ఇమేజ్ ఎక్కడి నుంచి తెచ్చుకుంటుంది అంటే డాకర్ హబ్ నుంచి. ఓకే, డాకర్ హబ్ నుంచి తెచ్చుకుంటుంది. నేను ఇప్పుడు చూపించాక మీకు డాకర్ హబ్ ఇక్కడ. ఓకే, దిస్ ఇస్ డాకర్. అక్కడ నుంచి తెచ్చుకొని అదే పుల్ చేస్తుంది, క్రియేట్ చేసుకుంటుంది. ఓకే, సో మనం అప్లికేషన్స్ డిప్లాయ్ చేయడానికి ఫస్ట్ ప్రాసెస్ ఏంటంటే, నేను ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశాను కదా, డాకర్ ఫైల్ రాయాలి. ఓకే, మనం డాకర్ ఫైల్ రాయాలి, ఆ తర్వాత డాకర్ ఇమేజ్ క్రియేట్ చేయాలి, డాకర్ ఏమంటారు హబ్ కి పుష్ చేయాలి. బట్ మనకి ఇక్కడ మనం హలో వరల్డ్ కి ఏ డాకర్ ఇమేజ్ రాయలేదు. ఓకే, సారీ, ఏ ఫైల్ రాయలేదు, ఇమేజ్ కూడా బిల్డ్ చేయలేదు. బట్ ఇది ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చిందనంటే, ఈ డాకర్ హబ్ లో అఫీషియల్ గా ఏమంటారు, ఆల్రెడీ డాకర్ వాళ్ళు, డాకర్ కమ్యూనిటీ ఏం చేస్తారంటే అన్నిటికీ ఇమేజ్ రాసి పెడతారు. ఓకే, జెంకిన్స్ ఇమేజెస్ క్రియేట్ చేసి పెట్టారు. అఫీషియల్ డాకర్ అఫీషియల్ ఇమేజ్ అని చెప్పేసింది కదా, అలాగే క్రియేట్ చేసి పెట్టారు. అలాగే డిఫరెంట్ డెవలపర్స్ ఫ్రమ్ డిఫరెంట్ ప్లేసెస్ దే విల్ రైట్ దిస్ ఇమేజ్. ఓకే, వాళ్ళు కూడా రాస్తారు, వాళ్ళు కూడా మనం వాడుకోవచ్చు. బట్ ఇవి అఫీషియల్ ఇమేజ్, ఓకే, జనరలీ దీన్ని యూజ్ చేసుకొని మనం ఏదైనా రన్ చేయాలన్నా లేకపోతే జెంకిన్స్ నా సిస్టంలో వర్క్ చేస్తుందో లేదా టెస్ట్ చేయాలన్నా మనం టెస్ట్ చేయొచ్చు. ఓకే, దీని ఎగ్జాంపుల్ రేపు చూద్దాము. బట్ బిఫోర్ దట్ టామ్ క్యాట్ చూసుకుంటే నీకు టామ్ క్యాట్ కానీ టామ్ క్యాట్ కూడా అఫీషియల్ ఇమేజ్ ఉంటుంది. అన్నిటికీ అఫీషియల్ ఇమేజ్ ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, సో ఈ డాకర్లో అన్నిటికీ అఫీషియల్ ఇమేజ్ ఖచ్చితంగా ఉంటుంది. సో ఇది ఎవరు రాస్తారంటే డాకర్ డెవలపర్స్ వాళ్ళే రాస్తారు, రాసి అప్లోడ్ చేస్తారు. బట్ మన కేసులో in our organization, if we want to deploy our custom application in the sense which is specific to our project, you need to write Docker file. Okay, you need to write simple Docker file, and then you need to create the image. Okay, and you need to push that image to your private registry in the Docker Hub. Okay, so what will happen whenever you want to create a container out of it, you can create whenever some of your colleague, suppose let's say like you are a developer, some colleague is a tester, he wants to create a container out of this image, and he will create the container and he will use it. Okay, అతను ఏం చేస్తాడు, ఆ ఇమేజ్ ని పుల్ చేసుకొని దాంట్లో కంటైనర్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకొని వాడుకుంటాడు టెస్టింగ్. ఓకే, దట్ ఈస్ ది అడ్వాంటేజ్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ డాకర్. సో ఈ డాకర్ ఇమేజ్ అనేది ఒక రన్ టైమ్ టెంప్లెట్ అన్నమాట, ఇది ఖచ్చితంగా కావాలన్నమాట. ఇది ఎలా అంటే మనకి లైక్ లెట్స్ సే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మీరు ఎక్కడైనా ప్లేస్కి వెళ్ళారు, ఒక డ్రాయింగ్ గీయాలనుకున్నారు, ఒక బొమ్మ. ఓకే, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒక బొమ్మ గీయాలనుకున్నాం, దాన్ని ఏం చేస్తాం అంటే ఫోటో తీసుకున్నాం, స్క్రీన్ షాట్ తీసుకొని దాని నుంచి మళ్ళీ నువ్వు ఫోటో ఇలా చేస్తావు కదా, డ్రాయింగ్ చేసుకుంటావు కదా. సో అలా మనకి దానికి ఒక ఐడెంటిఫికేషన్, ఈ డాకర్ ఫైల్కి ఒక సెట్ ఆఫ్ ఐడెంటిఫికేషన్ కావాలి. ఎక్కడి నుంచి నేను కంటెంట్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవాలనుకుంటే ఈ డాకర్ ఇమేజ్ అలా యూజ్ అవుతుంది అనమాట. ఓకే, దీంట్లో ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్ సేమ్. ఓకే, దీంట్లో ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్ సేమ్. ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్ అంటే ఏంటంటే మనం చెప్పే కదా, ఒక వెబ్ సర్వర్ డిప్లాయ్ చేయాలనుకుంటే వెబ్ సర్వర్ కావాల్సిన ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అంతా మనం ఇవ్వాలి, దానికి కావాల్సిన బేస్ ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ ఇవ్వాలి, దానికి కావాల్సిన కాపీ, అవన్నీ రేపు చూద్దాం. అంటే రేపు క్లాస్ లో డీప్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాం. బట్ టుడే దిస్ ఈస్ ఎనఫ్. ఓకే, and I did not share the notes yesterday. I'll share the notes. Okay, just go through the notes and recording. Try to install Docker on your Ubuntu server. Okay, and try to pull this image Docker. Run this command Docker run hello.
Okay.
ఓకే,
అర్థమైందా? డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా?
అర్థమైంది.
ఓకే, సో ఇంతే అండి ఈరోజు క్లాస్. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఆల్. ఐ విల్ మీట్ టుమారో.
Yeah, bro. Thank you.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.